We know that the everything code is at play. That allows assets to go up due to debasement. We know that tomorrow will be more digital than today because we want to get together. We want to talk. We want to be humans together. We want to engage with each other. We want to enjoy experiences together. We want to figure things out together. We want to share ideas, trade ideas. All of that is what being human is all about. That this idea of 6 years to make as much money as possible is really important. And I do think that the real answer to this, as far as I can see, is cryptocurrency, because it is the best performing asset in the world and of all time. I'm talking about the magic formula. The magic formula for GDP growth is driven... So sorry, I'm just going to go back, is most people look at AI, the rise of AI, and think of it again in societal terms. You know, what does it mean for humans, for jobs and all of that? But I think there are more profound implications that come faster that we need to be aware of, and that's the economic singularity.
In this video, Raoul Pal, the CEO of Real Vision, takes us on a fascinating journey into the future of finance, helping viewers navigate the complex trends shaping financial markets and investments. Raoul introduces his groundbreaking theory of the exponential age, where AI and robotics become integral parts of society, drastically reshaping the global financial system. He predicts that by 2030, these technologies will fundamentally alter how economies operate. Raoul breaks down the critical relationship between GDP growth and the global financial structure. He explains that GDP growth is driven by 3 key factors: population growth, productivity growth, and debt growth. However, as many developed nations face aging populations, their GDP growth is slowing dramatically. For example, the US GDP has dropped from 4% to just 1.75%, with other countries seeing even less than 1% growth. This decline is compounded by rising electricity costs, which hinder productivity growth. Despite these challenges, Raoul highlights the role of technology as a powerful driver of productivity, citing China's economic boom in the 90s as a prime example, fueled by massive infrastructure investments and debt growth. Looking ahead to 2030, Raoul envisions a world where knowledge becomes virtually free, thanks to the explosion of AI and robotics. He foresees a future where these technologies revolutionize productivity, particularly through advanced solar infrastructure that slashes electricity costs. Raoul identifies 2 key economic multipliers by 2030: the integration of AI and robotics into human labor, and the productivity miracle of cheap energy. As you dive deeper into Raoul's visionary analysis, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more insights like this. Join the conversation by sharing your thoughts and observations in the comments below. Every interaction helps with the YouTube algorithm and supports the growth of our channel. Thank you, and enjoy the video.
So GDP growth in the magic formula is driven by population growth, productivity growth, and debt growth. So population growth in all of the developed world, including China, we've got falling, aging demographics. Many populations are now shrinking. The US, due to immigration, is just holding its head above water, but the rate of change of population is collapsing everywhere. So that means that the economic driver of population growth has disappeared. Now, we've seen that in GDP because GDP, trend rate of GDP has been falling and falling and falling, and it's gone from, in the US, from like 4% to 1.75%. And across the rest of the developed world, it's fallen even further, in most cases below 1%, matching population growth collapsing in those regions. The other side of the equation is productivity growth. Productivity growth is basically units of output per kilojoule of energy, or in other words, what you get out of your cost of electricity. So if electricity is the kind of the energy that makes the world go round, the economic energy, then we need to see what we get out of that energy. So technology has been the big driver of productivity, but the problem is as populations get older, they become less productive. So it's really been a battle, and technology has not won that battle for quite some time. Then we've had debt growth, and I've talked extensively about debt growth. Debt growth basically stops in 2008, and all debt growth is now is servicing of old debts. So that economic engine's disappeared. If you think about the Chinese economic miracle, that was a massive population of, at the time, I think it was 1.1 billion people back in the mid-90s. And what they did was come into the global labor force, the economy of China opened up. That's a massive GDP push. Productivity, well, they built the roads, the railways, the power plants, and all of the stuff that makes China what it is today. That was a productivity boost. And then they increased debt as well. So we had a huge economic boom in China, which we're now paying back with aging population because of the one-child policy. And we've also got a huge problem on the debt side. So how the hell do we solve this? You see, the everything code will just keep repeating ad infinitum, where we just have to keep debasing currency to try and offset the debt payments because GDP growth is not fast enough. So GDP is kind of the economic cash flow that pays for the debts. If GDP growth is low, interest rates need to be low, which is why the Fed are going to cut and all of those kind of things. But also, as GDP growth goes lower, debt growth keeps ballooning and you have to keep refinancing all of this debt because there's not enough growth to grow your way out of the debt-based economy. So at the end of this decade, this journey from here to now is knowable. We know that the everything code is at play. That allows assets to go up due to debasement. We know that tomorrow will be more digital than today. The exponential age told us that, and is provably so. Therefore, invest in the only two secular bull markets that exist right now, which is technology itself and blockchain technology. Blockchain has been the fastest adoption of any asset class in history. It was the fastest growth of any technology in all human history, but AI is now outpacing it. So we have to invest in these things. I kind of think of it as investing in our demise as we transition to a new economic system. There's almost nothing that can get in the way of this transition because AI is moving so fast that regulators have zero chance of catching up with it. And because it's globalized, it can just shift and morph. And so therefore you need the supranationals to do something about it, and that's going to take time. So there's almost nothing to do to slow it down. It's going to change the system. It's going to change how it works, and we can invest in it. So I think we've got 6 years to invest as much as we can, whether it's your brain power or your capital, and both if you can, to make as much difference to unfuck your future as possible now. Then when 2030, 2032, whatever comes along, you'll be better prepared because financially you'll have maybe got yourself in a position where you've got the house that you want and some security. Now, as we go through the 2030s, in a world of abundance, we don't even know what money is anymore. So this becomes more complicated. So don't think of it as, oh, I've got my pile of money and everything's fine. It's more about my pile of lifestyle. Do I have the lifestyle I want? Am I protected from vast societal change? And so I think we've got 6 years to do that. 6 years before we don't know how to build a business. 6 years before we can't invest in financial markets. And again, 6 years is not an absolute date, but it's kind of just to give you a rough idea of how urgent this is. This is the most urgent thing. This is supplanted or changed my focus from, hey, everybody needs to be empowered in their financial journey, to you've got 6 years to fucking sort your shit out. And so, you know, part of a lot of what I write about in Global Macro Investor is this. And Real Vision is trying to take people down this journey. This 6 year journey is the most important time of anybody's lives. I can't stress that enough. Everything will change, including society around us, and it's not going to be easy to absorb it. But at least if you're open-minded, you're adapting to it, you're investing in it, you're at least investing in this change, as opposed to fearing the change as it comes. This idea of 6 years to make as much money as possible is really important. And I do think that the real answer to this, as far as I can see, is cryptocurrency, because it is the best performing asset in the world and of all time. And so I think that's the one thing we can lean in. It has a huge future in the exponential age. Technology investing is the other one. You know, there are incredible companies doing incredible things, and we're doing stupid things like, yeah, but it's already a 2 trillion company. Well, think of the world I was been talking about. Is there no reason somebody's not going to be 20 trillion, 50 trillion? Of course. Some of these companies are going to be bigger than sovereigns. So you need to get your head around everything has changed. It's really hard for value stocks and small companies and minor gold miners or whatever the past world looked like. to succeed in this new world. It's just not going to work. So get your heads around all of this, focus, 6 years, it's what counts, and make them count for you and your family. But one thing that does remain true is that humans are social creatures. And so I have a huge belief in the value of community. I think communities are going to be where our purpose lies. This is where this universal basic equity of owning a stake in the community that you belong to, whether it's an economic community, or whether it's a social community, or it's a commonality of purpose community. I think this is a really, really big concept. But generally speaking, community is everything. We want to get together. We want to talk. We want to be humans together. We want to engage with each other. We want to enjoy experiences together. We want to figure things out together. We want to share ideas, trade ideas. All of that is what being human is all about. One of the other ways that this affects the economy is this is essentially a nuclear bomb of deflation, because everything goes to zero in value. You can't sit now, the world's fighting over inflation, our wages might go up and all of this stuff. You have no comprehension of the scale of deflationary shock that this is going to create. Because things that create inflation, humans, their purchases, human labor, scarcity, well, they go to abundance. It inverts the system. So it's a very complicated world, and the deflationary shock is gigantic. It's one of the reasons I do not believe in secular inflation. I think people have the wrong marker stones. People seem to think this is somewhat akin to the internet. It's not. It's fucking profound how big this is. This infinite intelligence. The internet was just the rails. This is the applications layer of which all of humanity will be based. And it is extraordinarily deflationary because the AI will solve its own problems. So it'll solve its own energy problems. It'll solve its own logistics problems. It'll solve its own security problems. So these things get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. So as a deflationary shock, it's huge.
Raoul Pal envisions AI and robotics as powerful forces driving long-term deflation, making it crucial for investors to act now. He argues that cryptocurrency is the key to capitalizing on the exponential growth these technologies will bring. Do you agree with Raoul that crypto is the best way to ride this wave of innovation? Can you imagine a future where AI and robotics boost global GDP, slashing inflation and other economic challenges? We'd love to hear your take. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and share it with others. Thanks for watching.